It's only God that knows what he sees before he now decides to create a woman. Because I still don't understand why some women masturbate when we have able-bodied men out there, men of different tiber and caliber, men of different statures, men with different types of six packs, and some women still masturbate. So today's session is quite juicy. If you pay closer attention, you're going to enjoy it. And please, if today is your first time of seeing this beautiful face, please make sure you subscribe. Yes, please, and like the video, comment your mind because our topic is why women masturbate. Are you still doing that? Number one on my list that makes a lot of women masturbate is sexual pleasure, especially when a woman is not in a serious relationship, she's not yet married, nobody is asking her out. This will automatically activate her body and hormones. Yes, now, because these hormones is not something that you can control. Let's call a spade a spade. Reverend sister, sometimes they have the urge. Reverend father, sometimes they have the urge. It comes on its own, and when you don't have that way of you suppressing yours, you are going to start responding to those touches. Before you know it, you are touching yourself, on touching yourself, you are touching every touchable. So sexual pleasure will lead a lot of women that are not in a relationship to always end up masturbating. That is the first reason. Second reason that is because of her body awareness. Yes, distance relationship. This is one funny act associated with distance relationship because sometimes if you're not a person that have a self-control, if a woman don't have self-control, the only way for her to hide her shame, hide her desire, hide her body response is just by suppressing it that method. This have to do with your sexual fulfillment when your spouse is not closer to you, your sexual desire when your spouse is not closer to you could automatically lead a woman to masturbate. And the high percentage of women that actually masturbate nowadays are clocked closer to married women. A whole lot of them are always seeing themselves doing this act because you, my guy, you're always out there hustling. You understand? You are moving from one place to another, trying to find what you keep on the table. But for her to suppress that sexual want, sexual desire, or for her not to find herself cheating, or for her not to find herself doing some things that will lead her out of that marriage, the only way for her to suppress it is by getting herself a cucumber, doing it in other way round. You understand? So that is the second reason that leads a lot of women to masturbate. So if you have watched this video to this extent, please kindly drop your thoughts and comment. Why do you think women masturbate? Is there any other reason that leads you that is watching this video to always do that act? Then let's go into the third reason that lead a lot of women, a lot of married women actually, is because masturbation on its own relieve stress. Like, it reduce stress to the barest minimum because when your endorphin is very high, it creates a room for greater orgasm, like you being on cloud nine. Now when it's time for you to rest, when it's time for you to sleep, you'll find out that because you have reduced that tension that is in your body, that is in your skin, you can be able to sleep. That is the same thing applicable to you knacking. Like sometimes when you have a good sex, a good knacking, it proves a way for you to sleep like a baby. Like you wake up feeling very healthy, you wake up feeling very strong. That is the same thing applicable to when you do it by yourself. You understand? For those of you that is doing soapy, you can actually relate what I'm saying. Yes, if you're very good in doing soapy, you will relate to what I'm saying because after doing it, you feel different. Like you feel like there is something that you just pull out of your body, and that is you relieving yourself sexual tension and as well a very good relaxation. Yes, and then let's talk about the fifth reason that leads a whole lot of women to do that act is because most of them don't like men. Yes, a lot of women that are even married, some of them are lesbians. Some women that find themselves doing this act are already lesbians. And most people that are also doing it are people that doesn't fancy knacking, or a woman that doesn't like man, or a woman that doesn't fancy sexual thing. You understand? You know, there are women that are doing mommy GU. You understand? There are some women that are doing holier than holy. And when a woman find herself in that circle of resenting man always, your spouse will come to touch you, you will be resenting him. At a point, you see that when that sexual desire, because sometimes it will come on its own. Once that thing comes up on its own, you find out that the only way for you to suppress it and keep your still standard is for you to start doing it yourself, for you to start using it, your hands, touching the touchables, and boom, you're already doing it. And that brings me into the last reason that leads a whole lot of women to find themselves in that act is because it helps to reduce menstrual cramps. Yes, menstrual cramps, and it also helps a woman to reduce pelvic tension down there. Yes, there are women that has these heavy menstrual cramps, and there are women that have these um pelvic tensions around their pelvic, like they have pains around their pelvic most times before they start seeing their period, or after they must have finished seeing their period. You know, this is a medical disorder, but a lot of women have taken advantage of that because this masturbation is a kind of thing that help them reduce that pelvic pains that they are noticing during their period, or most of the times after their period. And these are 5 reasons that lead a lot of women into that act. And remember, a whole lot of women that masturbate don't always like man. That's the truth. They don't always love man. In fact, if you have been chasing a woman for quite long, let me tell you, let me be sincere with you as a woman. Most of the times, all those women that you've been chasing all this while, that keep resenting you, rejecting you, some of them find pleasure in masturbation. And see, they don't have anything to do with you. They don't have like, what will I be doing with you? Why will I be with you when I can do that by myself? And before you know it, a lot of them will start saying, no, 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 I prefer it this way. I love it this way. Not knowing that a woman's sexuality is one of the most sweetest, the most juicy part of her. And when a woman take advantage of that masturbation, boom, she will never ever come out from it. So guys, let me have your thoughts. What do you think that lead a lot of women into that act of masturbating? Drop it at the comment section, and do not forget that even if you are still in this act, there is still a remedy for you, 100% remedy for you. Yes, if you know that your woman is still masturbating, like you always find her doing that act, or she always confide in you, telling you that she don't know how to stop this act, why don't you just hear me? Because we have something that can assist her, and drastically she will reduce that act and begin to find you so sexy and sweet.